Hi, this is Ross Benjamin of the Offshore Gaming Association. That's OSGA.com, your number one source for information on the offshore sportsbook industry. That's OSGA.com. It's Friday, October 26th, and I'm going to do something a little different today for college football. I'm going to take a look at some potential trap games for bettors this week. Now, let me be perfectly clear. These aren't official picks, but these are games that it would be easy for someone who doesn't have the kind of time and put the effort into handicapping games like I do to overlook and miss some points before jumping and making a knee jerk reaction to a pick. So let me just bring you up to speed. I'm certainly not trying to talk you out of any pick, and I'm certainly not making any of these games as an official pick. So as long as we got that clear, let's go forward. Let's start with the game between the Purdue Boilermakers and the Michigan State Spartans, a game that will take place in East Lansing, Michigan, 12 p.m. Eastern Time start on Saturday. By the way, all these games go on Saturday. Michigan State currently a 1-point favorite in this game. Well, if you look at what happened last week, it would be easy to jump all over Purdue. I mean, consider the fact that Purdue is coming off a huge 49-20 upset win of then unbeaten and number 3 Ohio State, and they did so as a 12.5 point underdog. As a matter of fact, that game opened with Purdue being either a 14 or a 14.5 point dog. It was bet down to 12.5, and the bettors were right on in terms of that game. That was more sharp money than anything. And then Michigan State, on the other hand, they took on a red hot Michigan Wolverine team in East Lansing, and in a huge rivalry game, they were dominated 21-7. Yes, the score doesn't indicate domination, but trust me when I tell you that game was not even as close as the final score would indicate. So before you pull the trigger on Purdue and exhibit what I call short-term memory, please take everything into consideration. This may be a game where we see Purdue be a little bit flat over that after that huge upset win, and Michigan State might be in a sour mood after that loss against in-state rival Michigan. And very seldom do the Spartans lose two straight games, let alone two straight at home. Let's go to the next game. Number 12, Kentucky at Missouri. The game will take place in Columbia, Missouri, 4 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Currently, Missouri is -7. And think about this, folks. Missouri is an unranked team, and the 6-1 Kentucky Wildcats are the 12th ranked team in the country, according to the most recent AP poll. Yet, the ranked team as a touchdown underdog against an unranked team. Then put this into perspective. If this game were to be played on Kentucky's home field in Lexington, chances are it will be right around a pick'em game. So this is telling you that the odds makers are pretty sure that Missouri is the better team in this matchup, despite the disparity in records and despite the ranking of Kentucky and the other team, the home underdog or home favorite, being unranked. And, when you stop and think about this and you look inside the numbers, Kentucky is a very limited offensive team. Yes, they'll be facing a very porous defense in Missouri, but I'm not so sure that Kentucky is dynamic enough offensively to really expose that weak Missouri defense. On the other hand, Kentucky, if they don't run the ball, they depend on their defense to hang them in games. And this defense is a top-notch defense, but folks, Missouri is dynamic offensively, led by senior quarterback Drew Lock. And this is the kind of game where the Missouri Tigers offense can wear this very good Kentucky defense down, and that certainly may come into shape and form in the second half of this contest. So buyer beware before you jump all over the ranked team here in Kentucky +7 against the unranked Missouri Tigers. Next, we go to the Washington at Cal game played in Berkeley, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff. Washington is -11.5 on the road in this contest. Well, I'll keep this real simple. This may be a trap game for the Washington Huskies, let alone the Bettors. Washington clearly the better team in this matchup, but this is a Washington team that's coming off a win against a 5-1 Colorado team. That's a Colorado team that was ranked in the top 25 for the better part of the first half of this season. And then they also have a huge matchup with Stanford next. I think Washington will win this game, but I think it may possibly be a lot closer than the final score may indicate, in California coming off back-to-back wins. So again, the obvious choice here would be the Washington Huskies, but buyer beware once again. I hate laying points on the road. To start with, let alone in this kind of trap situation. So just be careful in this particular spot. And then we have the Washington State Cougars traveling to Palo Alto, California to take on Stanford. And Washington State, after last week's impressive home win, emotional home win at home against the Oregon Ducks, now are a 2.5 point underdog, although Washington State is number 14 and Stanford number 24. Once again, we're looking at a lower ranked team, the lower of the ranked teams, in Stanford at number 24 as a favorite at home against the higher ranked team in Washington State. Again, if you just use simple logic, you would say that's a nice underdog betting value. But you have to be careful here. Washington State, probably one of the most emotional games they played at home in quite some time last week. And they're looking for a possible letdown here. Or I'm looking for it, I should say. Stanford is still alive in the Pac-12 race. This is also a Stanford team. Right now, they're a short 2.5 point favorite, as I alluded to. And since 2008, the Stanford Cardinal have gone 60-9 straight up at home, and they've also gone 43-26 against the spread in those games. That's 62.3%. And this is a Washington State team that has gone 0-3 straight up and ATS in conference away games after coming off a conference home favorite ATS win, which they are coming off of last week against Oregon. They won straight up and covered as a 3 point favorite in that game. So again, before you have short-term memory once again, and you saw what Washington State did, and you're looking and saying, well, I'm getting a higher ranked team here as an underdog against a lower ranked team. Just take everything into consideration. Take a deep breath. And again, I'm not trying to talk you out of a pick on Washington State, but just be the most well-informed bettor you could possibly be. Until the next time, I'd like to wish you all the very best with your picks. You can visit my website where I give out all my paid selections. You pay a little and make a lot there. That's rbwins.com. rbwins.com. You could also call me direct, 781-571-0299. I employ no salespeople. You'll talk to me and myself only. That's 781-571-0299.